Hello guys and gals, and this is part 6 of our reading of Fantasmagoria, spelled as in fantasy, F-A-N-T-A, instead of P-H-A-N-T-A. And it is by Julia Bruce. It is copyright 2009. Without further ado, we will dive right in. And in the last one, we read about werewolves, which are very, very scary creatures. And it was thought to be caused by a fungus, black fungus. Yes, werewolves. You'll definitely want to check that one out. And then there was one where we learned about how to embalm, how the Egyptians embalmed a mummy, which was really kind of graphic, and I probably should censor that one out. Anyways, we are going to talk about Yeti and Sasquatch, otherwise known as Bigfoot. It says, high mountains and other wilderness areas provide the perfect refuge for all sorts of animals, but might they harbor something else? Could the vast, isolated Himalayan mountains, for example, be hiding one of the world's most mysterious creatures, the Yeti? And we're going to look at this picture here. I'm going to have to stretch because I'm on a cable here. It says, one of the first photographs of a Yeti footprint ever taken. This image shows the imprint 50 centimeters, 1.5 feet long. Okay, and then let's get these pictures taken care of here. Right. Local people reckon there are 3 types of giant man creatures living in the Himalayas. Of these, Yeti or Yeti in Sherpa is the smallest. And here's a picture of Bigfoot, apparently. It says here, this still from an amateur film of a Bigfoot taken in 1967 has been revealed as a fake. Okay, it says here, Wild Man of the Snows. Explorer B.H. Hodgson couldn't believe his ears. It was 1832 and he was trekking through Nepal in the soaring Himalayan mountains with local guides. One of them had just told him he had just seen a giant, hairy, 2-legged creature loping ahead of them in the distance. The team investigated, but the creature had run away before they could get close enough to see it properly. After Hodgson reported the sighting, other explorers started coming back with similar stories about large, ape-like creatures and strange footprints in the snow. The name Abominable Snowman was coined in 1921 by Charles Howard Bury, who found footprints on an expedition to Mount Everest. His native guides told him the prints were made by a Yeti, a wild man of the snows. For years, the only evidence that this strange creature existed was eyewitness accounts. Then in 1951, mountaineer Eric Shipton took photographs of a set of giant footprints. Could this be hard evidence at last? The photographs sparked such an interest that a newspaper in the United Kingdom, the Daily Mail, mounted its own expedition to find out more. They discovered more footprints and tracked down a hairy scalp from a human-like creature, which was kept in a local monastery. Scientists carried out tests on the hair but couldn't identify the animal it had come from. Since then, there have been many more sightings, but no one has been able to catch the elusive animal or even take a photograph of it. Discovery of fossils from a human-like creature called Homo florensis, I'm stumbling over this word, I'm sorry. Florensis, which lived in Indonesia only 16,000 years ago, has excited Yeti watchers. If this human species existed so recently, who's to say that the Yeti couldn't belong to another species similar to us that has survived to this present day, hidden from the rest of the world? We will only find out if further evidence is discovered. Now, ape men around the world. In India, people talk of the Negood, a huge man-like monster that lives in the mountain of Sikkim. The Tano giant of Ghana in West Africa is a tall, 2-legged creature with pale skin, black fur, and ape-like head, and no thumbs. Local people are terrified of the creature. They blame it for attacking people and even carrying them off. In Brazil and Paraguay, a giant called a Curanquane is said to kill cattle. Strangely, this man monster likes to remove the animal's tongue, but leave the rest of the body untouched. Okay, if you're a cow, you don't want to moo at the thing. Bigfoot. If the Yeti is the wild man of the snow, then Bigfoot is said to roam the remote valley and forest in western Canada and the United States. It is the wild man of the woods. In fact, the meaning of its other name, Sasquatch, in the language of the Salish native people of British Columbia, Canada, means just that. Like the Yeti, the Sasquatch is shy and rarely seen. Reports of its appearance vary, but is reckoned to be between 2.5 meters, 6.5 to 8 feet tall, with long arms and ape-like face, a flat nose, and thick, dark brown or black hair all over its body. Again, like the Yeti, though various expeditions have set out to find it, the Sasquatch has never been tracked down. Perhaps it's just as well. Apparently, the creature stinks. A close encounter would probably be very unpleasant. And that was Yeti. We are going to move on to our next one, which is giants. Let's talk about giants. Wow. Where to start? I guess we're going to consider Cyclops as giants. That's fine. They were giants, definitely. Then we're going to talk about trolls and ogres. Okay. It says, giants means born of the earth. The giants certainly are man-mountains. Some giants are good, but a lot are bad. Some are cunning, and others are stupid. Both kind and vicious giants featured here in some of the popular giant tales or tall tales from around the world. Okay, let's start with the Cyclops. When the Greek hero Odysseus landed on the island of Sicily to gather supplies, he didn't know that the island was home to the Cyclops, terrifying one-eyed giants. Odysseus and his men took refuge in a cave where one of the Cyclopses, Polyphemus, had made his home. Polyphemus kept sheep. Every evening he would drive his flock into the cave, and every morning he would let them out again to graze. When he returned that evening and discovered the men in his cave, he was very angry. He ate two of them and trapped the rest by rolling a huge boulder across the entrance of the cave, intending to eat them one by one. When the giant returned with his sheep the next evening, Odysseus tricked him into drinking wine, and while he was drunk, blinded him with the red-hot tip of an olive branch, which he had heated in the giant's fire. Despite his blindness, the Cyclops tried to keep the men in prison, but they escaped the next morning by leaving the cave with the sheep. They fooled the giant by clinging on underneath the sheep, so he didn't know they were there. Okay, and then there's Odysseus blinding the Cyclops, apparently. Yeah. It says Odysseus and his men driving a burning stake into the single eye of the giant Cyclops. Okay, now let's talk about the Selfish Giant. I think I know this story. The Selfish Giant is a story by Irish writer Oscar Wilde. Came home to his castle one day to find children playing in his garden. He was so furious he chased them away and forbade them from ever entering ever again. As a result of his meanness, it was winter in his garden for a long time. However, one day the children managed to break in. As they played, the snow melted and spring came to the garden at last, all except for one corner where it was still winter. It was that corner where there was a little boy crying beneath a tall tree because he was too small to climb it. When the giant looked out his window and saw the little boy crying, his heart melted. He went and he lifted the child into the tree's branches, whereupon the boy hugged and kissed the huge giant. Immediately the snow disappeared and the tree burst into bloom. From then on, the giant loved having children play in his garden, but to his great sadness, the little boy never came back. Many years passed. One day in the depth of winter, when the snow once again carpeted the garden, he saw the tree in the corner covered in white blossoms. The little boy had come back. When the giant went out to the boy told him that he had come to take the giant to live in his garden. The next day, when the children came to play, they found the giant dead, covered in white blossoms beneath the same tree. That's a touching story. Let's see what's happening here. I think this is Jack and the Beanstalk. In Jack and the Beanstalk, Jack plants a magic bean that grows into a massive beanstalk. Jack climbs it and finds a wicked but rich giant at the top. After several adventures, Jack steals the giant's gold and cuts down the beanstalk, sending the giant crashing to the ground. Okay, now let's talk about Zovats and Dove. I think it's pronounced Zovats. In the Shoshone folktale from Nevada and Utah in the United States, there was a terrifying giant called Zovats who loved nothing better than to feast on the young of other animals. One day he stole 2 of Dove's eggs. Dove managed to get them back, but Zovats chased after her. Luckily, the other animals came to help her. Crane made a bridge with his legs so she could cross the river. Weasel dug escape tunnels for her. Eagle gave her some tallow, which turned into a great chasm, a stomach which turned into a cliff, and some feathers which became a thick mist, shielding her from the giant. But Zovats got past all these obstacles and was soon closing in on her again. Finally, Badger made a hole where Dove and her children could hide. He then dug a second hole and told Zovats she was in that one. When the giant stormed into it, Badger threw burning rocks down after him and sealed him in. And there he remains to this day, unless the hole erupts into a volcano and releases him. And this has been Giants. And I think that we've covered everything. We are ready for Ogres and Trolls. It looks like we have Shrek there too. So let's go over this. Mean, ugly, and stupid ogres and trolls are not nice to know. They tend to be bigger than people and have a taste for human flesh. Thankfully, ogres and trolls can usually be outwitted by clever humans. The word ogre was first used by French fairy tale writers over 300 years ago to describe any bad-tempered, lumbering, human-like beast, and since then, ogres of one sort or another have clumped their way into folklore from Russia to Africa and from Japan to Canada. Fearsome trolls from Sweden, Finland, and Norway might be as huge as giants or as small as dwarves. Whatever their size, both trolls and ogres are renowned for their terrible ugliness, and if the stories are anything to go by, they have ugly personalities to match. So let's get started here. Ogres. Ogres go by many different names, but they all have one thing in common: stupidity. Take, for example, the ogre who fell in love with the reflection of a beautiful girl in a lake and drank the lake dry, trying to try and get her. In the tale from Kenya, an ogre wanted to eat a girl he has captured, but lets her choose where she will be cooked and what type of leaves he will cook her in. The girl cleverly takes a long time to make up the decisions, giving her warrior boyfriend enough time to find her and kill the ogre. Oni are hideous Japanese ogres with horns, sharp claws, wild hair, and red or blue skin. They usually carry a heavy club and like to eat humans. Every spring, villages across Japan perform a special ceremony to keep these vile creatures away. The Ojibwe people of the USA and Canada scare their children with stories of the terrifying Wendigo, another monstrous ogre that likes to eat people. It says left, in the film Shrek, the main character is an ogre. He is a misunderstood creature who just wants to live a quiet life in his swampy home. And over here we have this enormous ogre has brought home 3 cows for his wife. She doesn't look very pleased to receive the gruesome gift. Oh yeah, there's the cows right there. They're hanging from her waist. I see. And she's like, oh no, not cow again. Okay, let's talk about trolls. Wait a minute. In Norwegian folklore illustrated here, a hero peasant named Askeladdon, or Ashlad, gets the better of a rather stupid troll. Okay. Like ogres, trolls are truly hideous in appearance, but their womenfolk can sometimes be beautiful. With long red hair, trolls live underground, making their homes deep inside hills and mountains. They come out at night to hunt, indulging in an unhealthy liking for human flesh. If they come out into the open during the day, however, sunlight will turn them into stone. Trolls are excellent metal workers and are also hoarders of treasure. The trolls of the Inuit people of northern Canada are huge and hairy and have long, knife-like fingernails and massive stomachs that drag the ground. And now it says Beauty and the Beast. In this French fairy tale, a traveling merchant stumbles across a castle hidden in a forest where he plucks a single rosebud from a garden for his daughter, Belle. The owner of the castle, a terrible ogre, catches him. The beast demands that the merchant hand over his daughter as punishment for the theft. Belle settles into life at the castle, growing to enjoy the ogre's company. Eventually, however, she becomes homesick. The ogre agrees to let her go home as long as she returns in a week. He gives her a magic mirror and a ring to take with her. Belle's sisters persuade her to stay longer than a week, but Belle is horrified when she looks into the mirror and sees the beast lying heartbroken beneath the rose bush. She uses the magic ring to transport herself back to the castle. When she finds only the beast's lifeless body, she cries bitterly and declares her love for him. As her tears wash over him, the beast revives and miraculously transforms into a handsome prince. He tells her that he had been enchanted by a wicked fairy and that her love has finally broken the terrible curse. Okay, that story sounds very familiar. Okay, speaking of women, we have a section here. Give me just a sec. I need to change positions here. I've been sitting in this position a long time. Monstrous Women. Imagine a monster so terrifyingly hideous it takes a single glance. That taking a single glance at her face would turn you to stone. Medusa the Gorgon, with her snake hair and pointed tusks, was one such horror. Like many of the most frightening creatures from Greek myths, Medusa was female. Read on to meet her sisters and some other hair-raising women. Fantastical fact. If you have done something wrong, make sure that you always call the fairies, call the Furies, the kindly ones, to keep them friendly. Otherwise, these fearsome hags, part dog, part woman, and part snake, will hunt you down and whip you to death. Wow. They exist to wreak revenge on any wrongdoer. Their names mean endless punisher and jealous rager, and they don't give up easily, just be warned. Okay, let's first of all read about Medusa here. It's the only story on this page. Perseus and Medusa. It says here, there was once a king called Polydactys who fell in love with the beautiful Danae. But Danae didn't want to marry him. The king agreed to leave Danae in peace if her son, Perseus, would bring back the head of Medusa, the Gorgon, a task the king hoped would be impossible and lead to Perseus' death. The Gorgons were hidden deep inside a labyrinth of underground tunnels, guarded by their sisters, the Grey Ones. Luckily for Perseus, the gods decided to help him. They gave him a shield, a helmet, a sickle, and a pair of winged sandals. Perseus used the sandals to fly to the Gorgon's lair. To get past the Grey Ones, he put on the helmet, which made him invisible. He found the vile hags passing their single eye between them, so he grabbed it off them and wouldn't give it back until they told him where to find the Gorgons. They directed him down the maze of tunnels where he eventually found the hideous sisters sleeping. Instead of facing her direction, Perseus crept up on Medusa, looking only at her reflection in his polished shield. He struck her head from her body with the sickle, and as her blood hit the ground, Pegasus, the winged horse, sprang from it. Perseus grabbed Medusa's head, shoved it into a sack, and leapt on Pegasus's back. He flew back to Polydactys, pulled the head from the sack, and turned the king to stone, freeing his mother at last. Okay, there's some stories over here too. Now let's read about the Gorgons. It says, Medusa was one of 3 beautiful sisters, but she angered the goddess Athena, who turned them into 3 snake-haired monsters called Gorgons. They sprouted leathery wings and bronze claws and grew huge tusks from their gaping mouths, causing their tongues to loll out in a sickening fashion. Just to look at their terrible faces was enough to turn you to stone. Horrified by their own appearance, this grim trio hid away in an underground lair near the entrance to the underworld, the home of the dead, guarded by their 3 other equally revolting sisters, the Grey Ones. These withered old hags had 1 eye and 1 tooth between them, which they shared. Their Greek names, Dino, Eno, and Pempherdo, translated as dread, horror, and beware. And now we're to harpies. But first of all, just one glance at the hideous snake-haired head of Medusa, the Gorgon, was enough to turn the unfortunate onlooker to stone. Okay. Harpies. Evil-smelling and vicious, the harpies were vile crones with the wings, tails, and talons of vultures. They lived on an island and attacked any ship that came their way, snatching the men on board and devouring them. 2 of these monstrous creatures were sent by the gods to torment Phineas, a seer who could foretell the future. The gods were angry because his prophecies kept coming true. The harpies blinded Phineas to punish him, but they didn't stop there. They swooped down onto his table at every meal, covering the food with their foul droppings, or carry it away in their claws. In the end, the flying nightmares are finally chased away by 2 sons of the north wind and turned into whirlwinds. It says here, this picture here, says, harpy means snatcher, and these winged daughters of the sea god Thomas would swoop down and snatch anything they took fancy to. Okay, next we have Men of Wood and Forest. Look deep into the heart of the forest, vast and unexplored. It is a place of darkness, magic, and mystery. Woodland beings, part man and part spirit, are said to dwell among the trees, and myths and stories from all over the world. Sometimes they control nature, sometimes nature controls them. Always be careful when you venture into shady groves. Okay, let's see what this is all about. Says, the strange face of a man made up entirely of leaves stare out from carvings on medieval buildings, particularly churches all across Europe. But this mysterious figure, the Green Man, has nothing to do with Christianity. He is much older. His image appears in temples in Mesopotamia, Iraq, that were built thousands of years ago. He could also be seen on ancient buildings in India and Thailand. The Green Man is the spirit of nature. He can bring rain and ensure that plants grow. In European folklore, he dies in the winter and is reborn again in the spring. Traditional May Day festivals, which echo ancient pagan festivals that took place on the 1st of May, celebrate the Green Man, even today. And let's see here. This is the Green Man, apparently. Oh, I like him. Let's see. It says, the old man of the woods, the image brings the unearthly side to the strange Green Man. Okay, and down here we have a deer-headed dude. Are those hooves? Oh, cool. Says, ghostly Herne the Hunter leads a nighttime hunt through Windsor Great Park. Wow, that's cool. Okay, let's read about Herne the Hunter. I'm really fascinated by this now. Riding through the woods at breakneck speed, hounds baying at the heels, the specter of Herne the Hunter is a terrifying sight. Leading a ghostly hunt on his jet-black horse with huge antlers growing from his head, Herne hunts the woodlands of Windsor Great Park in southern England. He is said to have been the chief huntsman to a medieval king, Richard III. He once saved the king's life when Richard was attacked by a white stag. Herne threw himself in the path of the stag and received a terrible wound that nearly killed him. He recovered with the help of a wizard, but at a price. The wizard took away his hunting skills. In despair, Herne hanged himself from an oak tree in the Windsor Great Park. At that time, a huge forest. His uneasy spirit has haunted the same place ever since. Okay. Now, it says fantastical fact. Hundreds of years ago, people believed that human sacrifices were needed for the Green Man to survive and bring life, growth, and a new harvest. Okay, it's right here. The Green Man is shown as Jack in the Green, Green Jack, Green George, or the Leaf King. Welcomes in the summer during May morning revels in an English village. Okay, let's read this. It says, a far less pleasant creature than the Green Man from European folklore haunts the larch and spruce forest of North America. The Bokwas, the silent guardian of every woodland, whose face is only ever glimpsed between the leaves. Although also a green man of the woods, the Bocas is no friend to humans. Travelers passing through the woods should take particular care. Near running water, the Bocas may well try to push them in so he can take their souls as they are drowning and take them back to his forest home. That is that. Let me see, how many have we read? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess we have read 5. So, we are going to end that here. This has been a reading from Phantasmagoria by Julia Bruce. If you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe and ring the bell so you know when I upload. Also, if you want to support me in any way, all that information will be in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.